Nora, you can start now. Auzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and hola to everyone, to all the attendees, our distinguished panelists here, stakeholders, sponsors, designers, business leader, also our brothers, sister Muslimin and Muslimah, and everyone from different part of the world who are making time to tuning in into our live webinar today. Thank you very much and welcome to the Islamic Chambers of Commerce, Industry and Agriculture ICCIA Leadership Talk live webinar. I'm going to make an introduction about it is such an honor for me to be part of this exciting webinar presented by the Islamic Chambers of Commerce, Industry and Agriculture, also known as ICCIA. My name is Nosham Muhammad Garcia. I will be your moderator and host of this Leadership Talk webinar. Very brief, I'd like to introduce myself. I born and raised in a small village in Negeri Sembilan, Malaysia, currently residing over 30 years in America. I am the managing director of the Connector Group LLC, a strategic business development and consultancy agency based here in Miami, Florida, USA since 2009. I'm also the founder and creative director and producer of Miami Mothers Fashion Week, the first Mothers Fashion Week in the United States that I launched in 2019. So I would like to introduce ICCIA. It's going to be long, but I try to cut it very short. And let me introduce ICCIA. For some of you that are not familiar with ICCIA, this is a prominent organization established since 1976 based in Pakistan. ICCIA is an international non-governmental organization affiliated to the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, OIC, and represent the private sector of 57 member Islamic countries via their apex chambers of commerce, industry, and agriculture bodies. It aims at strengthening closer collaboration in the field of trade, commerce, information technology, promotion of investment opportunities, and joint ventures in the members' countries. In addition, it undertakes program of capacity building, poverty alleviation, upgrading, marketing and managing skill, value addition, agribusiness, gender development, economic empowerment of women, promotion and development of small and medium enterprises. Utilization of microfinance, developing entrepreneurship, particularly in youth development of tourism, and promoting the concept of halal business. The Organization of Islamic Cooperation, OIC, is the second largest organization after the United Nations, with a membership of 57 states spread over 4 continents. The organization is the collective voice of the Muslim world. It endeavors to safeguard and protect the interests of the Muslim world in the spirit of promoting international peace and harmony among various people of the world. ICCIA is the largest representative of the private sector of OIC countries, makes up much of the South country high growth markets, one of the largest youth population. So I'm going to stop there. more detail about ICCIA, you can go to iccia.com. Okay. So the introduction about the topic. The topic today is actually ICCIA is honored to announce the launch of a series of webinar on modest fashion, starting with a webinar with the topic the business of modest fashion going global. Today on this topic, we aim to discuss in this webinar about several points. This point actually related to the topic is very critical, especially to inspiring and establish modest fashion designers, buyers, investors, sponsors, stakeholders, and private or government sector. Some of the topics that we're going to cover today is about challenges facing the modest fashion industry, the cultural label of the modest fashion, the competition with the other fashion trends, getting into stores, how difficult or easy of startup, luxury brands share the industry, what are the booming market in the industry, and so on and so on. There's a lot of topics, a lot of points that we can discuss further. So today we are bringing the expert, the pioneer, the champion in the field of the global modest fashion. These are the individual and the company that created the path for others, not only in the Muslim world, but in the world all over the world. So, without further ado, let us introduce three of our distinguished panelists. Professor Dr. Paolo Pietro Bianconi, sorry about that. Mr. Zafar Sanmez, I forgot to ask you how to pronounce it. I hope it's right.
Correct, Zafar Sanmez.
Okay, is that right? And Miss Alia Khan. Sorry, I had to correct Miss Alia Khan or Mrs. Alia Khan. That's like I had to correct myself. Congratulations.
Thank you, Nursha.
So I'm not going to mention about the bio right now. I will I will mention about the bio and read about the amazing about this panelists when I'm going to introduce them one by one. Let me talk about the structure, how the structure about our webinar. The structure is going to be 1 hour and 30 minutes. 1 hour speaker session, 30 minutes going to be Q&A. At the end of the session, each speaker will have 15 minutes. So I hope everybody ready. So I know that it's bright and early here in Miami. Let's start with our first panelist. And I think that's very fair enough, and everybody have to understand what's modest fashion. I think that without knowing what modest fashion is, we will never go far. So I think the right person that we should bring, somebody that very expert in education, I think that Professor Dr. Paolo Pietro Bianconi. So let me introduce very brief. Dr. Paolo is a full professor of Islamic finance at the University of Turin, Italy. Dr. Paolo Bianconi acts as the director of the European Research Center for Islamic Finance. He has teaching at the University of Lanzhou, China, the National Tsinghua University in Taipei, Taiwan. I hope I pronounced right. You okay? Dr. Paolo is the editor-in-chief for the European Journal of Islamic Finance. It's amazing. You're also an editor-in-chief for European Journal of Social Impact and Curricular Economy. He is the creator of University spin-off on entrepreneur activities of interest to the Islamic business. And over here they say the president of Halal. I'm not sure how that is that part of the president of Halal.
Halal
For
talk.
that, okay. And in a modest fashion world, he workshop on Islamic financial innovation 2015 and supported the second edition in 2018 of Torino Fashion Week on the theme of modest fashion. There's a full, I hope, I know there's a lot of, information, important activities, important work that you've done, but I think probably after this you can, you can put your contact so everybody can refer, because I only take only a few of your hard work that you have been doing. So let's introduce Dr. Paulo.
Okay, thank you, Norsha. Good morning and good afternoon to everybody. It's a great pleasure to be here with you, speaking about modest fashion. As you told, I am professor of Islamic finance at the University of Turin. We have almost 450 students each year dealing with Islamic finance and Islamic economy. I just want to setting the stage with a short presentation about the business of modest fashion and the State of Global Islamic Economy Report 2022 shows that modest fashion is the third largest sector in the global Islamic economy, with more or less $300 billion. And this is an important starting point for our talk. Okay, and I just want to share also that modest fashion faced, as all the fashion market, some problems during COVID period, but we have still an increase that forecast the modest fashion rise 6% by year from now to 2025. So with an important growth that is very interesting for us. Let's have a look also to the drivers of this growth. From the side of demands, we have 5 points. First of all, a large, fast-growing and young Muslim population. That is the really starting point. Then we have the expanding global Islamic economy, where you see countries are projected to go faster than the rest of the world in terms of GDP growth. Then Islamic value driving choices for halal products and services, and this is a really important thing. Then digital connectivity, e-commerce, and we have the information that some of the OECD countries had the highest global e-commerce percentage in the last years. And at the end, but I think also very important, the growth of ethical consumption that is very close to the Islamic finance and economic thinking. Ethical, health, and environmental conscious Islamic value also attract non-Muslim consumer, and this is an important also point. why we have an increase growth of modest fashion even during the pandemic period. And from the revenue side, we have new point that we can disclose. First of all, established dedicated modest fashion brand continue to expand their reach, like, for example, Modernizam, that we will hear later. Young modest fashion brands are catching the eye of investor and of the catwalk. And also we have new commerce in the market. From operational development, we have an increase of e-commerce that is very important for newcomers in the market of fashion. And also we have a new method for alternative marketing, like, for example, social network platform like TikTok. And at the end, artificial intelligence, augmented reality, and other tools improve the industry supply chain. Now let's focus on the fashion industry and sustainability. We did a research on a paper of scholar and practitioner that discuss about fashion industry and sustainability. The first paper that I want to mention says that the fashion industry combined with the textile industry is one of the world's most polluting industry, and this is an important topic. And after that, we have a requirement of for designer to put the concept of a circular business model into practice, thus overcoming the current linear business model. So let's think about circular economy. And also the entry of sustainability into the fashion industry and modest fashion is no longer a choice, but it's a necessity. So these are very important pillars for the fashion industry and the modest fashion industry. After that, we focus on the evolution of business model canvas in modest fashion. And the literature highlights the following elements of the business model canvas that need to evolve in modest fashion sector: customer value proposition, channel, customer relationship, key resource, and key activities. From the customer point of view, customers are sensitive to low consumption garment production. They favor conscious and moderate purchases of goods. And these characteristics bring the business model to closer to a slow fashion and away from fast fashion that is very polluting. Okay. And customer demand also a reduction in environmental, social, and economic impact. Okay. Then from the value proposition, we have a strong support of environmental impact. Modest fashion brands must communicate to customer their activities to make a smaller environmental impact. And also, customer will be pleased to wear these more sustainable garments because they allow them to express their value on this issue. Okay. We told already about the channels. The online channels is a substantial opportunity for growth and expansion of sales in the Islamic world for modest fashion product. And the online channel can consist of different possibilities such as corporate websites, social media, and also other social. From the point of view of customer relationship, again, the topic of sustainability, it's important to share specific value related to sustainability to create brand customer loyalty. And also, brands must implement action to reduce the impact of fashion industry and modest fashion on the environmental and share this message with their customer. From the point of view of key resource, we have the role of the woman. Women can also be classified as key resource for modest fashion from an entrepreneurship perspective, and female entrepreneurship will bring a relevant focus on the inclusion and application of ethics and sustainable practice. Key activities, advertising and Islamic marketing enable sharing value, keeping with the religious and sustainable aspect. And also, the evolution of supply chain towards sustainability also follow the threat and opportunity of COVID-19. Well, in conclusion, I want to also share what we are doing in, as Norsham said, in a speaker from Islamic country and also not Islamic country. Italy is not an Islamic country. In Turin, we have a resource center for Islamic finance and economy, and we try to be the door for the south of Europe in terms of development of halal product and also product made in Italy that look at a different part of the world. Okay, we host the Turin Islamic Economic Forum, that is a convention every 2 years about Islamic finance and economy, joined with the Chamber of Commerce and the municipality of Turin. And as Norsha already said, we host also the European Journal of Islamic Finance. I want to thank you for the opportunity to share my presentation, and I'm also ready for Q&A at the end of the other presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You know, I'm so happy to hear you talk a lot about sustainability practice. And as you can see that I'm wearing one of the upcycle clothing. That's one of the practice, especially in America. In USA, we are really pushing into it. And so before we're going to go to the next panelist, I would love to ask you a few questions, just one question, because it's very interesting, because you talk about sustainability, right? So I love culture. I think a lot of people love culture. Everybody love culture. So I think modest fashion is what the different about modest fashion, because a lot of culture in those, and it's a lot of soul in the modest fashion. That's why modest fashion is totally different from different concept of fashion. So for you, and I always curious about Turin. I can relate Turin because my mother-in-law is actually, their descendant is from Turin. So I'm very happy to connect it to you. So my first question to you is actually one question actually. Italy have many culture history. Islam in Italy for many centuries. And what and how the community in your country, you know, because to sustain that culture history via fashion, this is for future generation. Not just now you talk about how to make the, you know, products, something like that, where people most of the time they forgot about the culture. how are you as a professor and very active around the community, as especially Italy is a big with fashion, and how you can maintain that kind of sustain that culture through fashion.
Well, it's
I'm sorry, I
very
don't mean to
no,
I
no,
don't mean
it's okay. It's
I'm
okay.
just like.
It's very tough question, but I try to answer. Fashion is very important for Italy. As you know, we have many maison of fashion, very, very famous and very, very, let me say, expensive. Okay, so the price is very high. I think that for us, design, it's very important. Also, the culture of made in Italy, that means nothing but means a lot of things also. Okay, and I think that modest fashion in Italy, it's a need, but we have we are a little bit far from creating a real market, because we have very important maison that make modest fashion, but are very expensive for Muslim population in Italy. Okay, in 5 years ago, we started with the first Islamic fashion company in Italy, and after 1 year, we closed the door just because we were not ready for the market, because the value of the proposition was too high for the local market. Okay, so this is the real problem now in the modest fashion in Italy.
Got it. No, it's very, very interesting. So thank you so much for your, and for your amazing, presentation. Basically, just to summarize from Professor Dr. Paulo earlier, he actually talked about the business of modest fashion, the global Islamic economy, the evolutions, and the impact of the recent pandemic, the importance of sustainability, and about the Turin Islamic Economy Forum. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, so I hope to all the attendees that listening, we hope all of those information provided from Dr. Paulo. Bear with me because I have a cold actually. My voice, I have a cold last few days. And answer some of your question, and please prepare. We hope you already have prepared some question for Dr. Paulo at the end of this session. Okay, let's go to our second panel. Mr. Zafar Sanmes, Deputy CEO of Madanisa. I'm actually so excited to introduce Mr. Zafar Sanmes. As a Muslim, I believe most of people in the Muslim world are very proud of the path that Madanisa created. Your company is the largest online modest fashion platform. And I'm congratulations. And I know recently that you went all the way to Malaysia, and I'm so proud. For me, that is show that we can go everywhere. And I think it's not just about the Muslim modest fashion, it's just anywhere can do any business. And I think that's amazing. But to top it, modest fashion, that's a plus. So congratulations. So let me introduce very brief. You also have extended amazing bio, and I cut it keep it short. If I miss something, please forgive me. And born in, I cannot pronounce it, born in Dus, right? Turkey, I believe. Did I pronounce it right? The country name.
This is a small town in Turkey.
Okay.
It's like you say kampung in Malaysia.
Oh, okay. I know that you live in Malaysia back in 2012, so you can speak my language. It's such an honor. Okay, born in Dus in 1974 and graduate from Istanbul University Faculty of Business Administration in 1996. Between April and August 2021, Mr. Zafir served as a board advisor of Madanisa, appointed as deputy CEO in September 2021. Prior to this role, Mr. Zafir served as the board member and managing director of the Turkey Wealth Management. He holds several important senior advisor and directors roles at different organizations, including Khazanah Nasional, the Sovereign Wealth Fund of Malaysia from 2012 until 2018, and opened Khazanah Turkey regional office and was responsible for investment in Turkey, Middle East, Africa, and Central Asia as a regional head. That's very impressive. So very impressive. Now you become the CEO of the deputy CEO of Madanisa. So we are looking forward to ask you a lot of questions here because a lot of things that we can learn from you and your company.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And let's start putting the slide. Is that you okay for them to put slide that you can explain?
Sure, I can share.
So actually, let me go to do the overview.
Is this okay with you?
Okay, go ahead. Just go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Norsham. To pay some respect to the other actually panelists, I will keep it short and take the questions in the Q&A session. As you mentioned, I lived in Malaysia for a while there, and I know of the ASEAN market and the potential of the broader modus fashion. But let me give you a download on how we perceive modus fashion and some highlights on Madanisa. With regards to actually Professor Biancone's presentation, he referred to the State of Islamic Economic report. We also checked that report. The numbers Professor mentioned actually refer to the total modus fashion, whereas Madanisa specifically focus on ladies modus fashion. So this is a subset of the total modus fashion industry, and I will come to the numbers on that one, but we refer to the same source. So what is modus fashion? Everyone knows actually. It's a fashion trend in women wearing less skin-revealing clothes. It satisfies your spiritual, stylistic requirements for reasons of faith, religion, or personal preference. So you don't have to be a Muslim to wear a modus fashion clothing actually, but generally it has a alignment with the Islamic belief, but it is not limited to that. For example, the whole India has a modest lifestyle and modest fashion actually, and we are not excluding that when we look into the total business proposition actually. So it started as a niche and became a mainstream, as you can imagine. So when you look into the just the British consumer, actually, Muslim women spend 16% more than an average business consumer. So this is actually becoming a mainstream rather than a niche. So let's look into the numbers on what kind of a demography is behind this growth actually. First of all, younger age, lower medium income, faster population growth than the global average, and rapid GDP growth. So there's a very strong case behind the modus fashion industry actually. So as Madanisa, we define the addressable modus woman population between 15 to 64, but this could be wider, but it's just a reference that we take. So when we look into the global population, minimum there is 470 million addressable modus woman population. The total Muslim population is 3 billion. It will be 3 billion by 2020. It's now around 2 billion. And as I mentioned, the demographics behind that is very powerful. Professor actually showed some numbers, but he mentioned some number close to $300 billion. That refers to the total modus fashion. But as Modernista, we are looking into women modus fashion. That is generally 15 to 64 age size. That size, according to us, is a subset of the total modus fashion, and our in-house numbers refer to a number, but by 2020, roughly 61 billion US dollars. So when you look into the global modus fashion, it is around 600 billion, and it's growing at a lower compound annual growth rate. So when you look into the modus fashion, it grows by 10% to 2025. And when you look into our business, online modus fashion woman, it grows by 23%. And according to our calculations, this is roughly 12 billion US dollar, and it will be north of $30 billion by 2025 very soon. So same demographies behind the industry. So young is like a Chinese consumer class. So it's roughly 1 billion people coming into the middle class of modus life, as 470 million ladies addressable population. Growing rate is twice the growth of the population globally, and very digital, very online, heavy, online savvy, let's say, consumers, and they are consuming actually. They have a different lifestyle. They are not like their mothers or fathers. They are different, and you have to understand them. So the halal economy in 2019 is actually roughly $2 trillion. And the orange squares that you can see, or rectangles you can see on the top right, first 277 is the modus fashion, global modus fashion, including men, kids, everything by 2021. So professor's number is close to 300 billion, because it refers to 2022 numbers, if I'm not mistaken. But what we are looking is a subset of that. So ladies modus fashion between 15 and 64 as an age cluster, that is $61 billion according to our calculations, and it's growing by 10% CAGR. The online modus fashion is another subset of that is growing north of 20% actually. So the problem with the fashion industry, actually, mainstream fashion industry doesn't understand, cannot connect with the modus woman, and they were greatly underserved 10 years back. Now, some let's say some energy there, some more let's say platforms, but still heavily underserved. So that is where we are operating. Some mainstream brands, which I will get back to that, they want to enter, but there may be some conflict with their existing client base, right? So modus woman is not uniform, different styles, different needs, different let's say situations. So you cannot put into one definition actually. So mainstream Nike, Dolce & Gabbana, H&M, Banana Republic, they entered into this business. Modernista is an exclusive distributor of Nike products globally, online. So they want to enter into this business because demographics behind this business is huge, and it's heavily underserved and neglected actually. So influencers, models, there's a big, let's say, population behind this growth actually. So a lot of platforms, multi-brand, largest is Modernisa, but there are others you can see on the line, or e-tailers with Modus Fashion. So a lot of platforms, or single brands. So this space is getting crowded, but still we are at a baby step right now. So as I told, it's becoming higher, let's say mainstream. So big magazines, big media is now recognizing it actually. So it was neglected, but now things are changing significantly. So coming to Modernisa, we are by far the largest. So we are selling to 130 plus countries. So the orange, let's say, locations that you see on the map, we are selling to those countries. And 85% of our sales are cross-border e-commerce. So we procure from Turkey, selling to global. We have 10 million plus social media followers, 300 million plus annual visits, 100,000 SKUs in one app, and 1,000 plus designers operating in 4 currencies and 7 languages. So we are by far the largest in this industry. We understand the culture. So other big platforms, say Amazon, say Alibaba, they are not attached to this culture. So it's a category for them. For us, it's in our DNA. Demographics I mentioned, we understand the taste. So Turkey is a textile country and a design country. We understand the behavior of spending, and there is a growing need of new payment methods. So younger generation is not using cash anymore. Their parents were, but today is different. So you have to adapt your, let's say, platform to that one as well. We have private labels, 6 our brands. We have celebrity collaborations. We have magazines printed in 5 languages. We have over 550 global influencers, more than 10 million social media followers, a lot of Instagram accounts, Facebook, YouTube, now TikTok. Professor mentioned that now we are using TikTok as well. So we are the organizers of 5, let's say, global Modus Fashion Weeks. Probably you know very well. I have seen one photo from the professor's presentation at the start, and our efforts have been noted actually. So even in Financial Times, check the headlines. Modus Fashion looks to move from niche to mainstream. That is a reality. Halima Aden, a super top model, is our brand ambassador, and actually we want to drive this business, because we believe that we are not the only one, and we don't need to be only one, because the market is so big, and we truly believe in this business. And what we will see, there will be a big shift from offline to online, and from conventional to the Modus Fashion going forward. So this is my presentation. Thank you very much. I would love to take questions later on. Thank you, Norsha.
Thank you so much. I'm telling you, I love all the numbers, and I look into it and it's very detailed, and I hope all the attendees pay attention. That is very, this is not the information that we can get it all the time. So, and before, like the same thing, I want to add with some of the numbers that you mentioned about the growing about the Modus Fashion. Even in America, Dinar Standard actually reported on the state of the global Islamic economy. Actually, sorry about that, try to get it here. Report by Dinar Standard, Muslim consumers spend on fashion apparel, Modus Fashion in the US alone in 2021 is 6.87 billion and expected to grow to 7.14 billion this year.
Our 15% of sales is to US, and 45% of sales is to Europe. So 60% of our top line is Western countries actually. So this tells it's a similar story. Story.
I mean, I think that recently Vogue just make me Vogue business. They put million. They forgot it's billion. Just want to let you know. Pay attention. Pay attention with numbers. Don't just read it. If you're not sure, make sure try to refer to like Dina Standard. Dina Standard been doing this for a long time.
We have a good connection with them. We know.
Yeah,
Rafiq,
they are very good, and they are my reference. You know, so and very important. You know, like modest fashion is not $1 million business anymore. It's $1 billion and going to be $1 trillion. So before we going to the next panelist, so I have one more question for you, Mr. Zafar.
Please, please.
Okay.
Please.
Okay. Besides, Madanisa has a strong understanding of the global modest fashion industry and its customers. The growing concern for ethical and sustainable production has skyrocketed the popularity of conscious fashion in the last year. How is Madanisa's role in sustainable fashion? Is there any program, clothing, concept in place? Because we want to make sure that you are basically Muslim, somebody that we are, you are our icon, and we want to see something that we be proud and we can say you are the leader and everybody out there. So, is there any activities, any plan, or something in place that we're not aware?
This is an important topic, and it will be actually its importance will be growing over time, and this is on our agenda. I attended to a recent study with Bain, and it will be published very soon. Modernisa will be in Bain's report for Turkey for ESG. Why? Because ESG, when you everybody only checks environmental side, which we comply, by the way, but there is social and governance side of it, which I will refer to that. But let me go to the environmental side. So we don't work for our actually 30% of our sales are private label and 70% of our sales are actually consignment and flow through. So we don't work generally with, we have more than 1,000 suppliers, and almost 90%, maybe 95% of them are small actually businesses. So these are not big factories that are destroying the environment. Actually, these are very small, let's say 5 people, 2 ladies coming together and start up. So first of all, our production lines are not doing a harm to the environment, but more than that, we are connecting small businesses to the world, and this has a big ummatic actually perspective. So we are bringing small enterprises in Turkey, even smaller side of the SMEs. So these are not mid-cap or very small businesses. We are helping to grow. For the last 10 years, some of them become bigger as we grow. So this has a very big ummatic effect. So small ladies residing in Istanbul, in Gaziantep or other places that has no opportunity to go global, now sending their products to 130 plus countries together with us, and 50% of our supply base is therefore exclusive. So we have a very connected relationship. So that is important. So the ESG part of that actually has a lot of relevance. Another side of the ESG part of Modernisa business, we are helping for the ladies in Frankfurt, in New Zealand, in Seychelles, in Detroit, to go to the streets, to go to the beaches, to go and spend their time in their education ceremonies, graduation ceremonies. We are helping for them to spend time on the street, not being locked down in the houses. we are empowering them. That has a lot of ESG impact, and that is generally over neglected. People don't look into that, but Modernisa is giving power to the young ladies, people in US, people in Germany, people in UK, people in Nigeria, people in, I don't know, Ethiopia, ladies going to the street, becoming confident, finding 100,000 SKUs on a single platform in their iPhone or Samsung, I don't know what kind of a phone they are using. We are helping them. So both sides, consumer side, supplier side, environmental side, we have a big agenda on sustainability. Hope this helps.
Actually, Alhamdulillah, you done it already. That's the part of sustainability. It's artisan, and that's the part that I think that a lot of people forget sometimes. And I don't mean to be rude, Dr. Paulo, because people always want to buy something. They say, "I want to buy something made in Italy." You know, and they have also, there's a lot of artisan out there, because the craftsmanship from Italy, they also have craftsmanship from Indonesia, from Malaysia. The same part, we help them, the artisan. And I think it's a great, you done amazing job, Mrs. Zafar and Madanisa. Thank you very, very much. And hopefully we are going to be supporting you all along, and as part of Muslim community. And let's go to our last and the most, I think that the most, for me, is very important person. And this panel is actually the one that actually that I refer a lot. And she actually that let me introduce you, Alia Khan. And first of all, I want to congratulate you on your wedding recently. And also another congratulation for making an example as a champion in modest fashion. You design your own beautiful wedding dress. That's amazing. That's amazing. Because you actually show to the world, a lot of people don't understand, a lot of Muslim, or especially Muslimah, the female, we born as a designer since we were a kid. We already make our dress. I make my own dress. I design my own dress when we were 7 years old. And I think it's very good because you are a good example. You have the luxury, can get all these expensive clothes and from any designers, but you decided to make your own dress. That show that. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Norsham.
So very briefly, because you have a lot of works and that you've done, and I try to keep it, summarize this, okay? If I miss something important, please forgive me. And for some people that want to get more information about Miss Alia Khan or IFDC, please go to ifdc.com. Is that correct?
IFD Council, IFDCOUCIL.org.
Sorry about that. So, and let me very brief. Miss Alia Khan is the founder and chairman of Islamic Fashion and Design Council, IFDC. I'm sorry, it's here. An organization established for the development of the Islamic fashion and design industry worldwide. Raised in Canada and the USA, Alia worked on her own fashion creation with a few fusion twists. Recognized as an industry expert speakers, and has also partnered with top business forum, conference, and event, including London School Economics, World Economic Forum, Tokyo Women in Leadership Summit, International Textile Fair, Dubai Government Halal Seminar, Torino Fashion Week, the Retail Summit, among other government and private event and platform. I know even you know most of in my own country, Malaysia.
Yes.
So he also seen in many global publications, including Vogue, Forbes magazine, Harper Bazaar, Elle magazine, Business of Fashion, and many, many more. Alia Khan has been nominated Businesswoman of the Year by CEO Magazine and Entrepreneur of the Year by Gulf Business News. 50 most influential women in the Arab world. This is under CEO Magazine Arabian Business. It's in the most influential Muslim list published by ISFIN. I'm not sure who's that. ISFIN.
ISFIN, they're run by, Paolo, you know who they are. I think they're French, and they come up with their list every year, I believe. Paolo must be very familiar with them as well. So, yeah, it's very kind.
And recently been named in 50 most influential women in retail by Retail Me. That's very, very impressive. So, I'm not going to read more and let's, we're so excited. I think that you actually really create the path to all the attendees. You already create the path to a lot of women out there, including me. Including me. I think that by you creating the path, that inspire and make, like make not only people in United States, everybody, every part of the world, and they know that I can do something. I can create this modest fashion. So let's tell all the secret, all the tips, all the whole thing that everybody would like to hear.
Absolutely, they can do everything, and this is, as the gentlemen have proven with their figures and data and numbers, there's so much to be covered still. So we are indeed at a nascent stage. Norsham, you and I have had some fun going to Russia together. Yes. And exploring their industry, which we were both blown away by. Just coming to Miami to support your event, I think, told us a lot more about the appetite. And you're right, it's in all corners of the world. I think Noha's going to launch my presentation. Noha, when you're ready, you can launch it.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
I think it's very nice if you put that under presentation, because then you can see the whole thing. I'm talking about the.
Yeah, if she can put it on slide mode, that would be great.
Yeah, I forgot. We had a great time in Russia.
Yes, we did. I want to point out that I've worked with Paolo in the past, and we've done some wonderful things together. And it was amazing to be introduced to the Italian market in the way that Paolo and all of his colleagues in Italy did, and they're doing an amazing job in Turin. I'm very proud that we were able to be a part of that, and hopefully ongoing. There's some important things still yet to be done, and I think those conversations need to be had. Madanisa is an old friend. Karim and I go back ages, and so Zafar, it's really nice to see your presentation. You guys have definitely done some amazing things, and Turkey is a very stylish platform. Turkey is an influencer in and of themselves, because they just have this natural taste, this natural elegance, and this natural style. And I believe that Madanisa captivates it very well. So anyway, wonderful to see your presentations. So Noha, what I'll do is I'll just tell you next, and then you can move on. Basically, the idea behind the evolution of Islamic fashion in current affairs has become quite relevant, especially in recent times. In an age of the pandemic, where covering and masking suddenly became a matter of life and death, we found ourselves in the middle of a hot topic. The question trending was, did the Islamic value system get it right all along? Is Islamic fashion actually good for you, for your health, and for society in general? Why is everybody suddenly covering? Why is everybody suddenly veiling? What's going on here? What did our tradition know that is now only being caught on to? I was bombarded by the media, asked to write for the New York Times, Teen Vogue, interviewed by other publications whose curiosity seemed to have peaked even beyond their intense focus on the modest fashion scene, which is primarily led by the growing Muslim population, which we've seen the gentlemen demonstrate with their numbers. And all this interest peaked during the pandemic. Suddenly, we were at the center of a lot of questions. Next. Soha. So oftentimes, IFDC, the Islamic Fashion and Design Council, which was founded and set up almost 10 years ago, has been noted to start what might be called a modest revolution. Inadvertently, of course. It's not that we set out to do that as our mission. Ours was a straightforward mission. We simply wanted to bring together players and talent that we knew would make a proper industry out of this space. It wasn't quite an industry. It wasn't even on the radar of the industry necessarily at the time we began. We had all the indications of this being the beginning of something big until we forged ahead. And then we did forge ahead. Almost 10 years later, we now see a proper modest lifestyle industry emerge, and the possibilities, as the gentlemen have pointed out, are endless. Next. And the key to it was to educate the world on what it means to be a Muslim today. In the modern era, being a Muslim means that you're at the forefront of style, chic, and elegance. Next. Keep going. Just let the whole page populate and then I'll speak. It became necessary to work with the media, fashion weeks, governments, retailers, and more to build the narrative, a narrative that would rebrand Muslims and present Islam in a more accurate light, that Muslims are indeed at the forefront of life, and many of them are doing it without compromising on their faith-based values. Next. Keep populating it, please, until the page is full. Okay, the pandemic highlighted the benefits of our lifestyle and why we embrace the life principles that we do. The dedication of a Muslim to the truth must be accompanied by an incorporation of sound ideology that leads their faith. Yeah, this is fine. This belief, it's okay, you can stay here until I tell you, it's fine. This belief, believe it or not, is at the fabric of the Islamic fashion and design world. But the way we dress represents a lot more than our sense of style. It reflects our commitment to God-given values. Therefore, it's been essential to the business world to undergo a learning curve so that they can understand that this is not a typical market. To captivate them, to become a company or brand, for this audience, you must understand their lifestyle and the reasons behind their lifestyle. Then the brands would better be able to cater to the demands of the Islamic lifestyle audience, who are unlike the mainstream audience. But it's noteworthy to mention that there's a huge, strong following of Islamic Fashion and Design Council that are either not Muslim, not Islamic based. We have a great deal of Jewish, Christian, Catholic, and even non-faith-based followings, because really this appeals to a certain sense of style and lifestyle in addition to our faith-based principles. Next. So what the Muslim knows is that you can keep populating the page. Yeah, that's fine. That living amongst our community where values of cleanliness, ethics, and respect is at the forefront of priorities would mean that the same must be reflected in their clothing choices. What does this mean to the brands who want to cater to them? It means that a Muslim consumer may be willing to forego trends and never adapt to lingo such as what's in and what's out. Rather, they may not even care. They look to benefit their communities with a sense of individuality. They dress and choose products according to the values they live by, not by what other people tell them to wear. This is something worth preserving. As long as we live by God-given values, neither we nor our youth will be led down some dangerous paths that the fashion industry in general can be guilty of opening doors to. Next. So in community living, as most Muslims do, there is an emphasis on living by example. To be values-based means to live with those principles and incorporate it in every aspect of our lives. Next. This includes our business practices. For example, all Muslims are asked to pay the worker his wages before the worker's sweat dries. This has been a big problem in the fashion industry, where a lot of workers have not been paid and on time. A lot of factories have not been treated correctly. A lot of industry players have had a lot of grievances to speak about. So there's so many other practices that are encouraged to be incorporated in order to uphold a just system. And we should be at the forefront of it, because really we are the face of it. Next. Since modesty is how the industry defines our way of life, the learning curve is not very complicated. However, proving to the market that you, the brand, understands this audience, and if it shows in your work, will go a long way in your general success. Next. It's true for Muslims. They hope that indeed, the hope has indeed come in the face of modesty. Thanks to our budding fashion space with the elegant sense of style, a bigger representation of who we really are has emerged, has given us a voice. Our fashion has given us an identity. Our fashion has given us a look and feel by which we can be better understood. Fashion is an important unspoken language. Next. With this, we have a real opportunity to be the ambassadors we are meant to be as Muslims. Whether you're a runway model, whether you're a businesswoman, whether you're a man who's into agriculture and the space of food, this all feeds into the lifestyle choices that we make. We are all in it together to uphold our values alongside our beliefs of style, independence, and living the idea of living. Next. The intrigue around us is everywhere. IFDC has been invited to many organizations, many venues, many platforms all over the world. The intrigue is real. Whether we are invited by royalty, or whether we are invited by industry leaders, or whether we are doing some local events, the intrigue of the type of people that show up continues to impress us. Let us live up to this and continue to build a positive image wherever we go. Next. Let us build more content that the world can access. IFDC launched the first ever digital magazine called Cover Magazine that was deemed the Vogue of Islamic fashion. A lot more is being done by my colleagues as well. They're running some great content, and I really encourage everyone to either contribute or take part in some way. Next. Our work, our efforts, our public presentation collectively disproves Islamophobia. How can Islamophobia exist when there is nothing there to be phobic of? We have presented a narrative that people understand and appreciate, and this understanding is only growing, and the media has now become our ally and is increasingly doing so. Next. Islamic fashion has proven that it does not rely on validation, acceptance, or explanation to justify its existence and success. This is an empowering message for all. Breaking the bondage with peer pressure is liberating. Let us hold on to that. Let us encourage our youth to never give in to talks like that's in, that's out, that's not cool, that's not hot. It doesn't have to be like that. Let us encourage them to be individuals, first and foremost, putting their step forward with their values and faith intact. With the Islamic lifestyle, we can be real, be a unique type of beautiful, and preserve proven values set forth from the beginning of time. It allows us to release ourselves from seeking the gaze of approval from others. We need not seek anyone's approval if we know that we are holding on to the principles by which we are guided well. The race is not towards popularity, only toward positive contribution to humanity. That's who we are as the Muslim lifestyle market. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's amazing. I took a lot of note over here, and the best part is actually I like the way you said, has a Muslim lifestyle does not rely on validations. That's always come across to me, and I said that modest fashion stand on its own. And thank you so much. And actually, it's a very it's a very detailed information that you cover about about sorry sorry about this, about the revolutions, what it means to be Muslim in today's era. And I think so important because people always ask me, do you practice Muslim? Are you, and like back to Mr. Zafir, and Muslim have different, they have different faces, different style, things like that, and the faith is always here wherever you go. And so what it means to be Muslim in today's era is so powerful. Sounds of the ideology, and I think that is like another important part, and about why modesty is beauty. Is a different layer. Modest fashion, and is there's a different layer, not just the clothing. It's what in it, what is the clothing's made, where it came from, and you transfer that the culture to your family, to your generation. I wore my late mother's dress, and she died already. She died when she was 89 years old. I have a dress that I was wearing during my presentation, during live stream. That's the part of the sustainability, where the outfit is Malaysian traditional dress. And then yet, because it's so important to me, and I keep it, I preserve it. That's a part of the modest fashion that we want to tell the young generation. That is our job, to be the leader in this industry. So, and the lastly, you mentioned about modest fashion disproof, and I think so important. And that's why I really respect to all my sister, Muslim sister that wear hijab. They went through a lot of craziness right now. But you know what? I'm so proud. They stand still and show them, don't care what. They don't have others showing the whole skin to get approved. They still stand there. They look good. That is confidence. That is sexy. Even the word sexy sound crazy, but sexy is confidence in modest. Modest fashion is actually the confidence. That's the most important part. So, like others, I also have another last question, and so I hope this is actually is from me too. Not only others, and from me as well. And my question to you is: As the pioneer in the modest fashion world, what is the most critical aspect that you are facing others that in the field of fashion that do not understand the true meaning of modest fashion concept?
Well, I mean, that's a good question, because really it's an ongoing learning curve, I think, for a lot of the newcomers that come in that want to explore this market, but they probably had no experience with it. They don't have a Muslim background. So, first and foremost, it's an easy learning curve, as we all know here on the panel. It's not so difficult to understand where modesty is and what the guidelines are, where we should cover and how we should cover. So that's a pretty clear thing, and you can get that from the internet. You can get that from your Muslim friends. It's not so difficult. But I think what's important for them to understand when they're trying to enter this market is that this really is a lifestyle approach. You can tell a lot by a woman. A Muslim woman and the way she dresses. So if she is wearing Islamic attire, she's wearing the hijab, or just let us say compliantly modest per the guidelines. She is most likely eating halal food. She is most likely raising her children in a certain manner. She is most likely keeping her house in a certain way. There's a lot that a brand can learn about this woman and the family and their consumer behavior and their power as a consumer. So it's really something well worth putting some time into to learn more about, because this audience tries to strive towards purity, you know, a pure way of life. And so that's why covering is important to them. That's why eating the right types of food is important to them. So all these things align, bathing a certain way and making sure that their cleanliness and hygiene is intact. All these things are very important to them. So to know that means that you can somehow convey that in your work. And once you do, you've proven to them that you actually care about them. And because this audience isn't going to change their trends, they're going to be modest, most likely for the rest of their lives. You can win them over as a loyal customer from the get-go. And I think there's a huge incentive in that.
Exactly. It's basically modest fashion is not a trend, because the reason what we're bringing is modest fashion is a moral, because I think good moral will never go away. And when people keep saying to me a trend, so moral, moral is a good moral that we try to convey here and through fashion. So I think that's the end of the end of for the panelists to to explain. And I think this is the time that we are going to have opened question to the audience. And so let me see whether I'm going to ask my team if we have any question. Oh, let me see. I forgot. Let's see. Okay, I have 3. Okay, I have. This is for Mr. Zafar. Okay, Mr. Zafar, when will be the next expansion of the modest fashion market? In other words, do you believe the expansion of the modest fashion market will spread in USA, Latin America countries, for example?
Thank you very much, Norsham. I think expansion is in US, especially northern US. US and Canada is already happening. So check out our sales. Our 15% of top line is US and Canada. So and it was less than 1% 5 years ago, and it's growing. It's a matter of when you say modest fashion. Actually, you can perceive Modernissa like H&M. So we are also selling top high price items, but we are catering to a big cluster. So generally we are selling affordable products, affordable Muslim fashion products. And for that, you need to solve the logistics. So how is this going to grow? If you ask me, I will look into this from an investor's perspective. Why? Very interestingly, Ummah doesn't invest inside Ummah. Ummah invests outside of Ummah. So the wealth in the Islamic countries should invest for the platforms that want to grow for the benefit of Ummah. Unfortunately, we have a big problem there. So we can grow this business by tenfolds in the next few years. However, it all depends on how the wealth in Ummah supports you. Goldman Sachs is an investor in Modernissa. EBRD is an investor in Modernissa. Where are the big Islamic funds? There are few, but not the biggest ones. So we should ask ourselves, we should reflect ourselves. Yep. Why is not the big money, big wealth, accumulated wealth, not supporting this kind of platforms? We have a fiduciary duty, we have an ummatic duty, we have an Islamic duty to support this kind of platforms. And unfortunately, I'm not seeing that is at the desired level. The awareness is increasing, not at the desired level, but the trend is slightly upwards. So we never give up. We have a mission to deliver, and what we will see, if we solve the logistics, if we solve the digital marketing, you need to spend on digital marketing, right? You need to spend on products. So this needs equity. When you look into, I'm a financial guy. I have a financial background. So the whole banking system globally supports credit versus equity. Whereas the Islamic finance, Professor Biancone knows this, equity resides over credit. Where is that equity? The whole Malaysia, Indonesia, the Islamization of ASEAN depends on fair trade. The Yemeni traders went to Aceh, to Malaysia. They do fair trade. They did not cheat. They show a fair trade. And without a sword, the whole subcontinent became Muslim, right? We have to forget. We forgot our history. Now it's time to remember. And the investments in Islamic finance should be in equity format, and the Ummah should support this kind of platforms. It's not just Modesa, all, not just fashion, everything, every startup. So equity should come into the perspective of Islamic investor. This is a fiduciary duty. We recently closed a transaction for Modernisa by the end of June this year. I personally put my money. Why? Because I should show that I, as a personal investor, is supporting Modernisa. So where are the big funds? They should come in. They will come, but they should act faster. We need more support. We need more equity. If you ask me, we can conquer not just Latin America, China, Russia, I don't know. You tell me subcontinent, Africa, sub-Saharan, huge market, where are they? We have to reach to those people, but these need some investment. So for us, with a limited equity, so far in 10 years, we have done this. If there's more ummatic investments in our type of businesses, we will conquer many markets very soon. Sorry for keeping long, but this is the very important part of the business actually.
Actually, I could agree with you. I just add, I also try to keep it as short as you know, and I going to support what you just said. I myself, I think Mr. Mahmoud Ali, if you have a chance, try to learn more, especially like I mentioned, Dina Standards. Every year for the last 10 years, they actually make a report about the Islamic state of Islamic global. Sorry, the global state of global economic. Is that right? Did I say it right? The state of global economic for Muslim. So for the last 10 years, and I think that if you follow that, you can see it. Myself, as the founder of my Mother's Fashion Week, I actually went to do it somewhere that totally opposite, like you said just now. Why I do it in Miami? Because you don't want to go into the saturated places already, right? That's one. Second is also, you're right, it's a lot of, I think that we cannot blame to foreign or non-Muslim out there, because they're the one making the time, reading all the data, and then our own Muslim didn't want to really support us. But for me, Mother's Fashion, the same thing like I just said earlier, Mother's Fashion is not a trend. This is about moral, and I still keep going. In 3 years, it's open, inshallah, alhamdulillah, open the doors for me. Compared for the last 6 years, I was in sport entertainment. I've been knocking everybody's doors. And with Mother's Fashions, open a lot of doors. And you're right, everybody, they should pay attention. There's a lot of things out there. It's not only just Mother's Fashion, a lot of industry in halal industry. So, sorry, I try to keep it short as well. The second one is for Alia Khan, Mr. Alia Khan. How do you forecast the volume of the mothers? Actually, we have 723. How do you forecast the volume of Mother's Fashion sale in the coming 5 years, putting in the consideration the cultural polarization and stereotype about this trend in fashion?
I think firstly, it's important to understand that I don't see any value in the role of pushing consumerism for anybody. whether it's Modernisa, who is a big retailer, or anyone else. I think that we have a duty to really sort of focus on the values-based living. I think there should be a focus on buying less. I think there should be a focus on getting creative and upcycling. I think there should be a focus, like you said, about me making my own wedding dress. I did that with complete excitement and creativity, and it was my vision. I put everything I thought represented me as the bride and put that into my dress, and there was value in that dress for me. And by that token, I gave business to local fabric stores. I gave business to local suppliers. I worked with a few local tailors, and it was a complete joy. That doesn't mean that the retailers are now losing me. That's not true at all, because we all have certain budgets for certain parts of our life, whether it's travel, whether it's clothing, whether it's cosmetics. We're never going to escape that we have to buy. And if the retailer gets my attention based on the values that they uphold, I will still exhaust my budget on purchasing. So just because I've made a few of my own items or wanted to focus on maybe giving a local tailor the business rather than a designer the business, does not mean by any means that I'm not interested in purchasing clothes from the retail sector. So I would like to say that first and foremost, I would like to invite all industry players to lead with values, lead with a sense of sincerity to the consumer. And perhaps this is idealistic in a business world, and maybe Mr. Zafar or even Dr. Paolo, when he teaches at his university, might say that, okay, that's all great and touchy-feely and feel good, but that doesn't sell clothes, and that doesn't sell our shoes, and that doesn't. But I think it does. I think when retailers tell you, think twice. Do you really need another dress? Think twice. Because no matter what, that budget, I can tell you as a woman, the shopping is always a necessity. There's always some reason to buy something. So if you help me to save this week by not needing to buy a certain dress, I promise you, I'll come back in 2 weeks when there's a birthday party or when there's a graduation, and I will buy. So when we talk about forecasting and what the sales will look like and polarization of culture, first of all, I think that more than ever, we have been embraced by the mainstream culture. I think that, we've proven, we've said it on this panel, that Europe and America are some of the biggest consumers of our space. So I don't believe that, we're being isolated or we're isolating ourselves. If anything, we've become great ambassadors, because when we dress in a certain way, there are many people that get intrigued and that find it appealing, and they too then ask where you shopped or want to emulate your style. So the next 5 years can be very exciting if we don't let go of our sincerity towards the consumers of this market. We have a responsibility to these consumers to tell them like it is and to give them options. And I think that once we do that, I honestly think that together we will flourish. And this is, we've heard this term, right? It's an ummat. The ummat, right? The ummah has come together. The Islamic economy was the coming together of the ummah. Every sector in the Islamic economy, including fashion and design, is about the ummah. So let us serve the ummah with real sincerity. We're in this life for a very short period. Let's get this right. That's the way I see it.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And I'm so sorry. I know there's another one question, but I think we have to go. And so I don't know whether it's 7:27 right now. So just a really quick Carolina Monroy Rosso, thank you very much for stopping by. And I think there's a few people here. So because we have to stop at 7:30, and I hope everyone enjoy our live webinar. And just really quick, each of you, if you can let people know whether you can type here how they can reach you, and that's, if you can put on the chat probably, or if you can mention how to reach you. Probably start with Alia Khan, how they can reach
Okay.
you.
Yeah, as we mentioned, I'll try to type it here. Let me find the chat. But as we mentioned, my website is www.ifdcouncil, so Islamic Fashion Design Council, council.org. And my email is on the website, but just in case, you can put alia.khan@ifdcouncil.org and make sure it's org and not com. And you're more than welcome to reach me anytime.
Okay. And some of you guys probably, hopefully, there's like Dr. Paulo chat over here.
Okay, just Google Paolo Biancone and you can find also my cellular phone. So
Awesome. That's what I did. That's what I did. And Mr. Zafir also, he put his.
They can connect me. I just sent my email in the chat box, and they can connect me through LinkedIn if they want to do so, and we can have a chat or communication.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We hope everybody enjoyed this, and hopefully with this idea, advice, knowledge that given by our distinguished panelists, we can apply it to ourselves and also business. To some attendees just join into this industry, we hope you are inspired to get started, and also to the investor as well. For investor, stakeholder, private and government sector, modest fashion is growing industry, not to be ignored. A unique concept of fashion that need to be sustained and preserved. Thank you so much to all our respected panelists. Last not least, thank you very much to our host ICCIA for hosting the leadership talk. For more information about ICCIA, please visit iccia.com. And thank you everyone. Many thank you from me. Before we go, I would like to close with this. Through tradition, we honor the past. Through innovation, we will conquer the future. Consequently, it is now for this vision, the business of modest fashion, to be global, to be manifested, and we all together, to make it happen. Thank you so much. Thank you, and see you guys again soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Norshab. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.